Hello and welcome to the Black Death. Today I'll be showing you how to get started in this game as of version 0.32. When you first join the server, you will have to choose your profession, though in the beginning there will be only the beggar to choose from. However, I do advise for you to look through the other professions which are currently still locked for you. For instance, there's the Doctor, which, as its passive ability, is able to dissect fresh and dead bodies for XP and items. There's the Artisan, the Cook, the Peasant, which is, in my opinion, probably the best profession there currently is, which his passive ability is increased yield from gathering resources, which is, in my opinion, especially in 0.32, quite important, as currently there seem to be not too many resources to be found, or at least less than beforehand. There are quite a few more professions. If you want to find out more about them, just load up a game and just read through the different buffs they give you. Most professions, except for the Knight, will be unlocked by gaining 5 levels in that profession. So let's start a game with the beggar and just see what happens. Alright, it seems like if we open up the map pressing M, that we were quite lucky and we spawned near Freeman's Port, which was the norm before 0.32, but as of 0.32, fresh spawns can spawn anywhere on the map close to a safe haven. For instance, Raven's Reach is also a safe haven. But Freeman's Port is really the ideal city where you want to be, because there are lots of traders and there's also workstations which you can use, like an anvil, there's a work table, there's a campfire, all those things which you will need to craft certain items and survive. Now, what do you want to do when you first load up? Well, there's, as you can see on the top right, there are basically quests for which you gain XP, and you will need XP to level up certain skills. These skills will then later allow you to get a new profession, and also each level up, as you can see, allows you to craft new things. Now, as I said, the peasant is, in my opinion, the best profession to rush in the beginning. So what we will try to do is, as soon as possible, get farming to level 5. So what we want to do first is just run out into the wilderness and see what things we can gather and what we can craft with those things in order to gain some XP and level up, and also do the quests. So what they want us to do first is gather some cotton and some chamomile from plants in the wilderness, and then craft a cotton swab. Though to do that, we will first have to spec 1 level into medical in order to unlock the cotton swab. Do note that these things have to be done in order, so we first have to gather cotton and then chamomile, so that the quest actually posts. Because if you first gather the chamomile and then the cotton, it won't register it. However, if you do find chamomile first, pick it up anyway, because a nifty way around it is just as soon as you've gathered the cotton, you just drop the chamomile from out of your inventory and then pick it back up, which counts as the same. So I'll try to find some cotton and some chamomile, and I'll see you back then. So this is how a cotton plant looks, and what you want to do is start just gathering with E. Sometimes you'll get cotton and sometimes you'll get cotton seeds. Cotton seeds you don't really need in the beginning, so you can more or less toss them away. As you can see, I've also leveled up from gathering those cotton pieces, and so what I'm going to do is level up a skill. So as you can see at the top here, I have one unspent skill point, which I could either put into abilities, to which we'll get later, or into skills. As I want to finish the quest, I will first spec one level into Cotton Swab, which is also always good just in case you do get low on health and need some healing. And this is how Chamomile looks. If you come across a few sticks, I would also highly recommend for you to craft 2 stick clubs, just in case you come across any enemies. 2 stick clubs, because these stick clubs do break quite easily. With these stick clubs you'll be able to fight enemies, though you'll have to be careful because they're not exactly very good. However, for instance, these infected beggars are, well, they're quite easy. What you'll want to be doing is just running to them, hitting them, running back, running to them, hitting them, running back, and so on and so forth. Especially this beggar you have to be careful with, because as you saw he had a red X above his head, which means he is in fact an infected beggar, and he has the chance of, if he stays close to you for too long, to infect you as well, giving you the plague, which gets you into all sorts of trouble. Killing enemies also yields XP and is arguably one of the easier ways to get XPs in order to level up. This is what a primitive well looks like, and when you gather it, you'll get some dirty water which you'll be able to use as a campfire at a campfire, and thus purify into drinkable water.
As you saw in the previous shot, I got the plague because I stood around the plague rat for too long. The plague itself will not kill you, but it will lead to your food and water going down a lot faster, and that means you can die of hunger or of for how long you will still have the plague can be seen by the icon next to your food and water meter.
As soon as you unlock level 5 farming, you'll be able to unlock you will unlock the peasant. Now, in order to play as the peasant, you'll have to either kill yourself or die, and then respawn as a peasant. Now, you may have, well, a bit of an inventory which you don't want to lose, so you might want to think about dying somewhere which is not too hard to get to, but also not too easy to find, so that you can, after respawning as a peasant, go back to your gravestone and get your stuff back and not have other people take it from you. So for instance, dying in a town may not be such a good idea, especially on a populated server where people might just come by and take your stuff. So what I've done now is I'm still quite near to Freeman's, as you can see on the map. But what I've also done is I've hidden behind a house where I don't think many people will see my dead body, and what I have to do now is I press escape and suicide. Beware, as it says, you'll lose unspent skill points and all items, but the items you can get back, whilst whilst skill points you won't be. Then you press try again, and lo and behold, the peasant is unlocked. Now, since you spawn randomly, and I've spawned somewhere strange over here, it is quite far to get to my Greystone, so I might consider just leaving it and starting out anew, though I would in most cases recommend going back to your Greystone, possibly only not if you're somewhere over here, since especially in these areas on the right there are NPCs like monks which are quite a lot harder to kill and will kill you a lot easier, so it is not really recommended as a beginning area. As you can see, whenever I gather something now as a peasant, there's writing which says peasant bonus, which means that every time I gather a resource from a node, I will gather one extra resource. Which, as you can see, means instead of getting one cotton from a cotton bush, I get two. Additionally, as a peasant, you also get 2 strength in the beginning, which is quite nice, which means you have an increased carry capacity of 10, which brings your total up to 60. Next question you might have is, now that you have unlocked the peasant and you are the peasant, what should you do next? And there are many different things you can do. However, what I would advise is that next you leave the peasant alone for a while, and what you'll try to do is, for instance, you'll do some artistry, because at level 5 of artistry you'll be able to craft a small bag which will allow you to carry more things, as you can see here. Additionally, what I've found is for making money, it is quite good to go smithing. Also, unlocking smithing will allow you to make some better armor and also weapons, which will then allow you to fight against better NPCs, for instance the monks, and that means you will gain more XP, so that is quite a good idea. Otherwise, just try to make money in any way possible, and then try, if you can, to buy better things from the smith if you can't make them yourself, and then just start grinding monks and other NPCs, because that's just currently the best way to level. But I hope to give a more in-depth perspective on this in a second part.